Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin with a simple truth. You are a queen, not because someone handed you a crown, but because you were born with purpose, strength, and the capacity to lead, starting with yourself. Yet, too often, we forget this. We trade confidence for comparison, dignity for doubt, and purpose for approval. We wait for others to recognize our worth before we claim it ourselves. But queens don't wait for permission. They understand who they are and they act accordingly. Being a queen is not about power over others. It's about power within yourself. It's about the quiet confidence to stand tall when the world tells you to shrink. It's about saying no when something doesn't align with your values and yes to the things that grow your vision. Queens operate with purpose. They don't move just to be seen. They move to make a difference. Every choice, every step, every word is intentional. Because leadership isn't about being the loudest in the room, it's about being the most centered, and here's the truth: the world doesn't need more perfection. It needs presence. It needs women who lead from authenticity, not ego. It needs queens who lift others, not for recognition, but because they understand that true strength is shared strength. So today, if you've forgotten who you are, I'll remind you, adjust your crown. Not because it fell, but because it's time to stop apologizing for your light. Time to speak with conviction, act with compassion, and lead with courage. You are a queen. Start acting like one. Not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, but right now. Because the world is waiting for the leader that only you can be. Self-worth is not something we earn. It is something we uncover. From an early age, society trains us to associate our value with performance, approval, or position. We measure ourselves by grades, titles, beauty, or the opinions of others, yet none of these things define who we truly are. Self-worth is intrinsic. It exists independent of achievement. It is the steady awareness that you are enough before you do anything to prove it. A queen understands this truth deeply. Her crown is symbolic, not of entitlement, but of identity. It reminds her that her value cannot be negotiated or diminished, regardless of external validation. Recognizing self-worth begins with internal awareness. The way we speak to ourselves shapes our perception of who we are. Too often, our internal dialogue is filled with self-criticism, comparison, and doubt. We tell ourselves that we are not ready, not qualified, or not deserving. But when a queen looks in the mirror, she doesn't see perfection. She sees potential. She acknowledges her flaws without allowing them to define her. She embraces both strength and vulnerability, understanding that authenticity is more powerful than perfection. The act of self-acceptance becomes the foundation upon which confidence is built. A strong sense of self-worth allows you to set boundaries without guilt. When you understand your value, you stop settling for less than you deserve, whether in relationships, work, or self-care. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are standards that define how you allow others to treat you. A queen does not explain or apologize for her boundaries because she knows they are an act of self-respect. When you say no to what diminishes you, you are saying yes to what develops you. Every decision becomes a reflection of how much you value yourself. Understanding your worth also changes how you pursue goals. Instead of chasing success to prove something, you pursue it to express something. The motivation shifts from external validation to internal fulfillment. When your sense of value is rooted in who you are rather than what you achieve, failure no longer defines you. It refines you. You see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than evidence of inadequacy. You learn to separate self-worth from outcomes. This mental shift empowers you to take risks, to speak up, and to lead with authenticity because your worth is not on the line. Self-worth also affects how you communicate and carry yourself. Your tone, posture, and energy reveal how you see yourself. When you value yourself, you no longer shrink in the presence of others' greatness. You recognize that confidence is not competition. A queen stands tall not to appear superior, but to signal assurance. She doesn't seek to outshine others. She seeks to illuminate what is possible. The energy of self worth is quiet yet magnetic. It attracts respect without demanding it. An essential part of cultivating self-worth is detaching it from comparison. In a world driven by social media and constant exposure to others' highlight reels, it's easy to fall into the trap of measuring your journey against someone else's. Comparison diminishes clarity. It makes you forget that your timeline, your strengths, and your story are unique. A queen understands that her value doesn't decrease because someone else shines. She celebrates others because she knows that abundance is not limited. When you stop competing and start connecting, you operate from a place of confidence rather than scarcity. Another dimension of self-worth is the ability to forgive yourself. Growth requires grace. Too often, we replay our mistakes as proof of inadequacy, but true self-worth means allowing yourself to evolve without judgment. Every misstep becomes a lesson rather than a label. A queen does not hide from her past. She learns from it, uses it, and transforms it into wisdom. She understands that mistakes do not diminish her value. They reveal her humanity and her resilience. Self-worth also demands consistency. You cannot affirm your value one day and abandon it the next when challenged. Confidence is not a one-time declaration. It is a daily discipline. It is the choice to show up for yourself, even when doubt whispers otherwise. It's in the moments of failure, rejection, or uncertainty that your sense of worth must stand firm. A queen is not defined by the ease of her path, but by her ability to remain grounded in her identity regardless of circumstances. Understanding self-worth is about alignment. When your thoughts, actions, and values align, you operate from integrity. Integrity builds trust with yourself and others. You stop pretending to be someone you are not, and you begin to lead from authenticity. This alignment gives you peace of mind, which is the greatest marker of inner strength. A queen's power does not come from controlling others but from mastering herself. Her confidence is not loud, it is steady. Her presence commands respect because it is rooted in self-knowledge, not self-importance. Understanding self-worth, therefore, is not a motivational idea. It is a leadership principle. It determines how you think, speak, decide, and lead. When you understand your worth, you stop reacting to the world and start responding to it with clarity and purpose. You lead not from insecurity, but from identity, and when you lead yourself well, you naturally lead others better. Power has long been misunderstood. For centuries, it has been portrayed as control, dominance, or authority over others. Yet true power is not about ruling. It is about responsibility. It begins not in commanding others, but in commanding oneself. When a queen acts with power, she does not use it to intimidate. She uses it to influence with integrity. Her strength is not measured by how loudly she speaks, but by how deeply her words resonate. Power, when redefined, becomes less about the throne and more about the mindset. It is the ability to remain centered, decisive, and compassionate, even in the midst of challenge. To understand real power, one must first unlearn the idea that control equals strength. Many people believe that to lead means to dominate or to have the last word. But leadership rooted in control breeds fear, not respect. It suppresses creativity and diminishes trust. A queen understands that sustainable power cannot exist without respect. Her authority comes not from force, but from the consistency of her character. She leads through example, through calm in crisis, grace under pressure, and empathy in decision-making. Power redefined is also about self-mastery. Before one can lead a team, a family, or a community, one must first lead the self. Emotional discipline is the foundation of leadership. The ability to remain grounded when provoked, to respond instead of react, is the mark of true strength. A queen does not allow her emotions to dictate her actions. She allows her values to guide them. She understands that power without control is chaos, and that calm is a greater display of power than anger. Self-control becomes her armor, and wisdom becomes her weapon. real power also involves the courage to make difficult choices. Leadership often requires standing alone, saying what needs to be said, and doing what is right even when it is not popular. Many avoid responsibility because it exposes them to criticism, but a queen knows that silence in the face of wrong is a betrayal of her purpose. Her courage is quiet yet unyielding. She takes accountability not only for her successes, but also for her missteps. She recognizes that leadership is not about perfection. It is about integrity. Taking responsibility when things go wrong doesn't weaken her. It strengthens the trust others have in her. Another element of redefined power is empathy. Traditionally, empathy is seen as a soft trait, but in truth, it is one of the hardest skills to master. To understand and connect with others requires emotional intelligence and patience. Empathy allows a queen to see beyond herself, to understand the struggles and perspectives of those around her. It turns authority into connection. Power without empathy becomes tyranny. Power with empathy becomes transformation. Through empathy, she builds trust, and through trust, she builds loyalty. Power is also reflected in how one uses influence. A queen does not seek to control outcomes. She inspires others to rise. She recognizes that influence is not about commanding obedience, but about creating belief. People do not follow titles. They follow purpose. When she speaks with conviction and acts with consistency, others are drawn to her presence, not because of fear, but because of respect. Her influence spreads not through dominance, but through example. She becomes a mirror in which others see their own potential reflected. In redefining power, humility plays a vital role. Power without humility becomes arrogance. A queen understands that leadership is not about being above others, but among them. She listens as much as she speaks, learns as much as she teaches, and serves as much as she leads. Humility gives her the perspective to see beyond ego. It reminds her that her authority is not for self-glorification, but for service. The most powerful leaders are those who understand that leadership is stewardship, a privilege to elevate others, not to elevate oneself. The redefinition of power also includes the ability to adapt. Power is not static, it evolves. The capacity to shift perspective, to remain flexible amid change, demonstrates resilience. A queen does not fear transformation because she understands that growth demands it. She leads not with rigidity, but with vision. Her adaptability allows her to thrive in uncertainty and to guide others through it. Power, when rooted in adaptability, becomes influence that lasts beyond moments of crisis. Discipline is another form of power. The ability to do what must be done even when it is uncomfortable is a hallmark of leadership. A queen is disciplined in her words, her habits, and her focus. She understands that every decision, no matter how small, contributes to her reputation. Discipline gives her control over her impulses and clarity in her purpose. It ensures that her leadership is not reactive, but intentional. True power is also defined by how it is shared. The greatest leaders create more leaders. A queen does not hoard her influence, she multiplies it. She empowers others to think, decide, and grow. When she shares her knowledge and encourages autonomy, she extends her power through the success of others. Her legacy becomes not the size of her rule, but the strength of those she has inspired. Redefining power, therefore, means transforming it from a symbol of control into a vehicle for change. It is the ability to act with authority while remaining grounded in humanity. Power is no longer about dominance. It is about direction. It is the quiet confidence to stand firm in values, the humility to serve, the courage to lead, and the wisdom to uplift. A queen who redefines power transforms every space she enters, not because she demands respect, but because she embodies it. Vision and purpose form the backbone of authentic leadership. A queen without vision is like a ship without direction. She may move, but she drifts rather than leads. Vision gives clarity to movement. Purpose gives meaning to effort. Together, they create alignment between thought, action, and impact. A queen does not act merely to stay busy. She acts to build something lasting. Every decision, every sacrifice, every achievement is guided by a sense of why. It is this internal compass that transforms ordinary activity into intentional leadership. Vision begins with imagination, but it is sustained by belief. It is the ability to see what does not yet exist and to trust that it can be brought to life. A queen envisions not just where she wants to go, but who she must become to get there. Her goals are not limited by circumstance because her perspective is not defined by current reality. It is defined by possibility. Vision allows her to rise above the noise of doubt and the distraction of comparison. She sees beyond the moment, understanding that temporary challenges are part of a longer journey. When setbacks occur, vision becomes the anchor that keeps her steady and focused. Purpose gives vision its foundation. Without purpose, vision becomes ambition without direction. Purpose answers the question, why does this matter? It is the reason behind the effort, the motivation behind the mission. A queen's purpose is never rooted in ego. It is rooted in service, contribution, and growth. She understands that leadership is not about personal gain, but about collective progress. Her purpose drives her to lead with integrity, to make decisions that serve a greater good, and to ensure that her influence leaves people and places better than she found them. The relationship between vision and purpose is cyclical. Vision provides the destination, purpose provides the drive. When the two are aligned, they create unstoppable momentum. Without vision, one can lose direction. Without purpose, one loses motivation. A queen constantly nurtures both. She takes time to reflect, realign, and reimagine. She knows that clarity is not achieved once. It is maintained through consistent self-awareness. Her ability to adjust her goals while staying true to her purpose demonstrates flexibility without compromise. Vision also shapes the way a leader makes decisions. When every choice is measured against purpose, priorities become clear. A queen does not say yes to every opportunity because she understands that focus requires discernment. She chooses what aligns with her long-term vision rather than what provides short-term satisfaction. Her decisions are intentional, guided by the understanding that every yes to something means a no to something else. Purpose acts as her filter, ensuring that her energy is invested where it truly counts. A powerful vision also demands communication. It is not enough to see clearly. A queen must help others see too. Her role is to articulate her vision in a way that inspires belief and action. She paints a picture of what is possible and invites others to be part of it. Through her words and actions, she translates abstract goals into tangible direction. Her passion becomes contagious, her conviction becomes motivating, and her vision becomes a shared mission. People follow not because they are told to, but because they are inspired to. Vision and purpose also influence resilience. When challenges arise, it is purpose that prevents surrender. A queen understands that obstacles are not signs of failure, but opportunities to strengthen resolve. She measures her progress not by how easy the path is, but by how faithfully she stays true to it. Her vision gives her perspective, her purpose gives her endurance. Even when results are slow or recognition is absent, she continues to lead with consistency because her motivation is internal, not external. Purpose-driven vision fosters authenticity. When a queen leads with clarity of purpose, she does not need to imitate others or chase trends. Her leadership becomes a natural extension of who she is. Her choices reflect her values, and her actions reinforce her beliefs. This authenticity builds trust because people can sense when a leader's intentions are pure. Purpose removes the need for pretense. It allows her to lead with transparency and conviction. A queen's vision is not self-centered. It extends beyond her. She understands that leadership is not about personal legacy, but about collective transformation. Her purpose compels her to create opportunities for others, to mentor, to teach, and to uplift. She measures success not only by what she achieves, but by what she enables others to achieve. Her vision becomes a platform for empowerment, a movement that continues long after her direct involvement ends. Discipline is an essential part of vision and purpose. Inspiration creates movement, but discipline sustains it. A queen translates her vision into daily habits, routines, and actions. She understands that big dreams are built through consistent small steps. Every morning, she aligns her behavior with her purpose. She does not wait for motivation. She creates it through action. This consistency turns vision into reality and purpose into legacy. Vision and purpose require reflection. A queen regularly evaluates whether her actions still align with her why. She asks herself if she is growing, contributing, and staying true to her principles. When necessary, she adjusts direction, not out of doubt, but out of wisdom. She recognizes that purpose can evolve as she evolves, and vision can expand as her understanding deepens. Her ability to realign ensures that she continues to lead with relevance and authenticity. The role of vision and purpose, therefore, is to guide every step of meaningful leadership. Vision shows what is possible. Purpose explains why it matters. Together, they give power direction, turn ambition into service, and transform leadership from an act of authority into an act of meaning. Legacy is not built in a single act of greatness. It is crafted through consistent impact. A queen does not seek to leave her name etched in stone, but her influence engraved in hearts and minds. Her legacy is not defined by how many people served her, but by how many she served, inspired, and empowered. Influence, in its truest form, is not about control. It is about contribution. Every word spoken, every decision made, and every person uplifted becomes part of that lasting imprint. A queen understands that her actions today are the seeds of her legacy tomorrow. Legacy begins with intention. Influence without intention is accidental and often short-lived. A queen leads with clarity about what she wants to represent. She asks herself not only what she wants to achieve, but also how she wants to be remembered. This intentional awareness shapes her behavior and guides her interactions. Her influence becomes purposeful because it stems from values, not vanity. She recognizes that every conversation, every choice, every small act of kindness contributes to the story others will tell about her when she is not in the room. Creating a legacy of influence requires authenticity. People do not remember perfection. They remember sincerity. When a queen leads with authenticity, she connects on a human level. She admits her challenges, celebrates her growth, and remains transparent in her journey. Her vulnerability becomes her strength, as it allows others to see that leadership is not about having all the answers, but about being willing to grow alongside those you lead. Authenticity transforms influence from performance into connection. It builds trust, and trust is the foundation upon which every lasting legacy stands. Empowerment is the essence of enduring influence. A queen does not hoard wisdom or success, she shares it. She uses her platform not to elevate herself, but to elevate others. She mentors, guides, and opens doors for those who come after her. She understands that true greatness multiplies itself. When she empowers others to discover their own strength, her influence expands far beyond her direct reach. The measure of her leadership is not in how many people follow her, but in how many are empowered to lead because of her. A legacy of influence is also defined by consistency. Influence fades when it lacks continuity. A queen's character remains stable regardless of the situation. Her integrity does not fluctuate with convenience. People trust her because she is dependable, because her actions align with her principles, even when no one is watching. Consistency builds credibility, and credibility transforms influence into authority. Over time, it is not her position, but her example that inspires others to act. Service lies at the core of influential legacy. Leadership that seeks only personal recognition rarely endures. A queen understands that her greatest impact comes from serving a purpose larger than herself. Whether through advocacy, mentorship, or daily acts of compassion, she uses her influence to make life better for others. Service gives depth to her leadership and meaning to her success. She knows that when influence serves humanity, it becomes immortal. Resilience plays a vital role in building legacy. Every influential leader encounters opposition, misunderstanding, and failure. What distinguishes a queen is her ability to rise after every setback with dignity and determination. Her resilience inspires others because it proves that strength is not the absence of struggle, but the ability to keep leading through it. Each challenge she overcomes becomes part of her story, evidence that perseverance, not privilege, defines true influence. Her scars become symbols of her strength, teaching others that leadership is built through endurance, not ease. Communication is another powerful tool in shaping influence. Words have the power to build or break, to inspire or to discourage. A queen speaks with intention. She chooses words that uplift, unify, and motivate. Her tone carries clarity and conviction, not arrogance. She understands that people remember how she made them feel more than what she said. Her ability to listen deeply and speak meaningfully strengthens her connection with others, allowing her message to echo long after she is gone. Emotional intelligence amplifies influence. A queen reads the emotions of others not to manipulate, but to understand. She knows when to challenge and when to comfort, when to lead firmly and when to lead softly. Her awareness of emotional dynamics allows her to connect across differences and navigate conflict with grace. This emotional awareness ensures that her influence remains compassionate and inclusive, touching hearts rather than merely commanding attention. To create a legacy of influence, vision must merge with action. Ideals without execution fade into dreams. A queen turns her vision into tangible results. Projects completed, lives changed, communities strengthened. She measures success, not by applause, but by impact. Her actions become evidence of her commitment, and her consistency turns influence into institution. Through her leadership, values such as integrity, kindness, and resilience are not just spoken but practiced, making her influence visible in the culture she creates. A lasting legacy is also sustained by humility. A queen recognizes that influence is not ownership, it is stewardship. She understands that every position, every opportunity is a chance to make a difference, not a right to be served. Humility allows her to listen to feedback, to continue learning, and to remain grounded even in success. When she steps aside, she does so with grace, knowing that her influence lives on through those she empowered. Ultimately, a legacy of influence is measured by transformation. It is the invisible ripple effect that continues long after her presence is gone. People may forget the details of what she did, but they will never forget how she made them feel, how she inspired them to believe in themselves, and how she modeled what true leadership looks like. Her influence endures not because she sought to be remembered, but because she chose to make her time meaningful. Every choice, every act of courage, every moment of compassion becomes part of the legacy she leaves. Living testament that real queens do not chase crowns, they create change.